I recently hit 300 subs, so I wanted to make a special video as thanks, something that lets you get to know me on a deeper level. I've debated on revealing this topic throughout my entire career, but I'm finally gonna rip the bandage off. I have cerebral palsy, or cerebral palsy, as some unfortunately ignorant kids have told me over the years. Not that I blame them, it's like getting mad at someone for unintentionally mispronouncing your name. As long as it's not an intentionally offensive or racist pronouncement, you're fine. Also, fuck cerebral palsy. Call it a piece of shit for all I care. Who gives a shit about that bastard's feelings? Anyways, the reason as to why I felt comfortable revealing my disability was because I figured I could make a funny rant based on my experiences, not bitch about the pronunciation, so let's get into it. I guess I should briefly explain what it is first. Well, it's essentially... Cerebral palsy is a condition marked by impaired muscle coordination, spastic paralysis, and or other disabilities, typically caused by damage to the brain before or at birth. This segues perfectly into my first annoyance, which is how broad the disability's classification is. Personally, the only thing affected is my legs, being unable to stand or walk. My mind and everything else is thankfully completely unaffected, aside from maybe my humor, which could explain why I'm so damn unfunny. But the second sentence in this overview immediately states that it's caused by issues to the brain, which has made some ignorant people think less of me than warranted. I'm obviously not trying to belittle the people whose minds are affected or require more support, as they shouldn't be treated poorly. And trust me, I'm well aware that I could have it worse off like them. But I'm just saying that it's frustrating to be classified as something I'm not, which I'm sure a lot of them would agree with as well. This could easily be avoided if they just added separate designations or subtitles depending on the person's specific situation. Think cerebral palsy type 1 or type 2, similar to diabetes. I'm honestly super surprised this hasn't been addressed already with how common cerebral palsy is, with 18 million people having it worldwide. Extending on from the classification, as I just said, a huge annoyance that I'm positive is shared by anyone with any kind of hindrance is being seen as less capable than we are and being pitied because of it. Just because my legs can't get it up doesn't mean you have to treat me any differently or censor yourself around me. Yeah, guys, I'm just like you. I know about sex and offensive jokes and dangerous TikTok challenges too. Okay, maybe not that last one. I like to compare myself to a guy with permanent broken legs, minus the pain from Satan's asshole that spawns when you have broken legs. You wouldn't treat a guy with broken legs like you just launched out of his mother's womb like a Beyblade, would you? Though, I suppose being treated like a Beyblade is better than being treated as terribly as Power World's relevance has been dropping, which I can gladly say rarely happens to me, which certainly isn't the case everywhere. There's so many stories, particularly of people in their workplace or in public in general, just being either ignored or discriminated against. And while I am very glad that I haven't experienced it, it does exist. I'm just sticking to whatever I know. If you want to hear about other people's stories, you can find a variety all over the internet on Reddit or Quora or really anywhere. To bring attention to the public and how they treat disabled people, though, I do want to bring up one thing, which is the show What Would You Do? I don't know if any of you have ever seen it. It's pretty old now. That exemplifies my point well.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. That's good. It's good mix. I like it.
Excuse me, ladies.
Hi.
Is this your car?
It's mine. Is there a problem?
Maybe you haven't noticed that you're in the handicap spot.
Oh, I know. I just don't see what the big deal is.
I had to push all the way from the other lot.
You rolled all the way over here. Doesn't seem that hard. Yeah, I mean, you should really try walking in heels.
It happens all the time. Blatant disregard for handicapped parking spaces. You see two healthy and able women parked in a clearly marked handicap spot. Do you confront them, speak up for the person in the wheelchair, or simply look the other way?
Now, thankfully, this specific scenario is just a skit for TV, but the fact that this stuff really does happen is, I will admit, a lot worse than just being treated like I'm essentially a 2-year-old. Though it still falls under the category of being treated differently. Despite how I claim that I shouldn't be treated any differently mentally, I do acknowledge that I'm in fact not a god, and if I didn't have help with some things physically, I'd be a sitting duck, quite literally. Thankfully, I have my family as well as a few very good friends. If I can get friends, there's hope for you yet, soldier. Get out of that basement. That are more than willing to help if I need it. Seriously, thanks guys. I couldn't get by without you. You're the real homies. Okay, maybe you're more real than the ninja. At least I've made friends, though. I can't imagine being in the position of having none, which I thankfully have not experienced. What I have experienced, though, is fake friends, or at least looking back in hindsight, that's what I think. I don't mean fake friends in the sense of cold-hearted, evil backstabbers that you see portrayed by the media. I'm talking about pity friends. People that would play with me at break because the teacher told them to, or simply because they felt bad for me. A lot of these people were really nice to do so. I'm not necessarily shitting on them, but it meant that I spent a lot of my early years with more outgoing people who didn't share most of my interests. Eventually, I found my fellow shy-ass nerds, as you know, and we faced the hells of recess together. Oh, damn, did I hate recess! The stereotypical highlight of a kid's school life was my nightmare. Or low light, if you will. We should be using low light as an opposite to highlight. Why are we not doing that? It makes perfect sense. You're at a high, you in the light, and then or like dark light or something. Low light, dark light. And you may be wondering what could possibly be so bad about recess. Well, imagine yourself sitting in a negative 200 degrees Celsius freezer with no way of escaping for 35 minutes, as the owner of the freezer is simultaneously making it rain rock-hard ice cubes on your head, like the Ice Cube probably does at a strip club. That's equivalent to recess in the Canadian winter for someone who's unable to move around physically. Now, to avoid me sounding like I'm throwing some damn abuse allegations at my school, I should add that they would give me the option to stay inside if it was really cold. However, I was usually limited to only one friend. Damn, I guess the school thought I was homeless too, not just disabled. Another thing that was mildly irritating was constantly having an EA, educational assistant, around me at break at all times. Also, another quick tangent. I don't think educational assistant should be what they call them. They should just call them helpers, because I needed an EA because of my disability, not because I mentally needed help with my education. It's a misnomer. It's a misleading title. So just call them classroom helpers. Anyway, not to get back onto pronunciations and classifications. I don't mean to disrespect these EAs at all, as they were obviously just doing their jobs, and they were all very nice. Also, they had to put up with getting me dressed for winter recess, which is a task only beaten out in difficulty by slave labor itself. It involved a thick jacket, sometimes two, ski pants, a toque, mittens, a scarf, sometimes a face mask, and those goddamn boots that would never go on my feet. However, it still sucked to have an adult looming over you when you wanted to bond over 69 jokes with your friends, or talk about how much you like this one girl who clearly isn't interested in your ass. By far the worst recess limitation I battled against was that of keeping up with other kids. To me, other kids may have well have been Usain Bolt. They, most of the time unintentionally, would leave me in the dust, simply excited to go play tag or whatever the fuck. This was another detriment to having less nerdy friends when I was younger who were way more chill with just sitting and talking. Despite my immense gratitude for my friends and their help, it does bring out my next issue with cerebral palsy, which is the insecurity it causes relating to my independence. No matter how many times my real homies reassure me that they don't mind helping me with things like getting my lunch kit or textbook out of my backpack, I can't help but feel bad about them having to take time out of their day to simply help get me a goddamn ham sandwich, just because I don't have some Mr. Fantastic ass arms or go-go gadget trinkets. Speaking of gadgets, the ones I do have are expensive as fuck. I'm talking about a motorized wheelchair here that's the cost of a pretty average first car. This motorized wheelchair really helped with my independence issue, and some evil fucks have decided to price them at these insane levels. This could lead me into a capitalism tangent on supply and demand, but I should probably steer clear from finance-related topics. I'll just say that I think these sellers are aware of how much these pieces of equipment are needed, so they're purposely hiking up the price. This isn't a brain-dead conspiracy theory, I assure you. This normal-ass bike cost me $2,000. This normal-ass bike cost me $2,000. Hell, Hacksmith is selling their mini lightsabers for cheaper. Obviously not the big ones, as those are way more expensive to make, going for upwards of $90,000. But the little ones are $65. To further exemplify my point to an extreme degree that's definitely unnecessary, here's a list of 20 better things you could buy for $2,000. I said better buy a home gym, a musical instrument, a trip to Thailand that's 10 days and only $1,849, a TV, an alright PC, a good mattress, and according to popular website Neil.fun, I can buy 1,000 Big Macs, 400 Coke packs, 666 pairs of flip-flops. Ooh, spooky. 44 lobster dinners, rip Red Lobster. 33 $60 video games before the average price goes to $70. Let's not get started on that shit. 20 Amazon Echoes or years of Netflix before Netflix also inevitably raises their prices. 16 pairs of Air Jordans, 10 AirPods, and 5 gaming consoles. A dog, a cat, 5 drones, and most importantly, 2 regular bikes. So I could buy 2 regular bikes for the price of the regular bike that I bought. Great. I think you get the picture. Lastly, throughout my school years, particularly around January, there have been many days where the school buses have run but not been able to pick me up. This is due to the special guidelines regarding the wheelchair lift, where it doesn't run if it's minus 35 or colder. Now that's perfectly fine, as the bus garage wants to avoid breakdowns, which would leave all of us kids freezing on the bus. The absolutely nonsensical thing is that the temperature cap for the buses themselves is higher, first for many years being minus 40, but now having been increased to minus 45. This drastic difference in cutoff makes no sense to me, especially the sudden increase for the bus itself. The gap, which was enough of an inconvenience at 5 degrees, but now it's even worse. I have also been affected by the call having to be made at 6 a.m. specifically. This is far earlier than my 8 a.m. pickup time, when it has many times been warmer than minus 35, and I could have been picked up. It's like excusing yourself for being hours late for your 8 a.m. job because you had to take a shit at 6 a.m. Stupid, right? I find this immense gap in temperature unfair and discriminatory towards me and other wheelchair users, although I am aware that's not the intention. It means my parents are forced to go out of their way to load a 300-pound chair and drive me to school, which is a third as heavy as Tammy from 1,000-pound sisters before she got healthier. Good job, Tammy. I'm proud of you, for real. Otherwise, I will miss the day since class is still in session for everyone else. This sets me back, leaving me with minimal teacher support and a lot of homework, especially at my age, where a lot of math involves more letters than get misplaced by FedEx. Chemistry that even Walter White may struggle to teach. I trust that the safety of everyone is the priority, which means doing everything in your power to avoid breakdowns during the cold weather. All I ask is that they consider making the temperature cutoff equal for all students. I suggest this be done by operating the lift manually on riskier days and letting the bus driver make the call at the wheelchair student's house as opposed to a set time. That's right, most lifts have manual switches, so honestly, this whole situation could be avoided unless the bus driver operating it would physically freeze after 1 second outside. This happens at negative 273 Celsius or negative 460 Fahrenheit. Even in Canada, it's only gotten that cold like once. Nah, I'm joking. These were the main issues I wanted to address in this video and rant, guys. I hope you were able to get a little chuckle from them. If you have any stories that you feel comfortable sharing, you're welcome to share them in the comments below. Seriously, don't feel shy. Also, I know some of these are quite trivial, you don't have to tell me. At the end of the day, me having an eternal battle with recess is insignificant as fuck to the real world, especially when we have issues like Israel and Gaza and Iran now. But hey, there's more useless content on this website.